ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome back. So today we are going to know the answer to the 8th question of Arjuna as we are studying chapter 8 of Śrimad Bhagavad Gītā. So we are going to start from the 5th verse of this chapter. अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः। Antakale, at the end of life, cha also, mam, me, eva certainly, smaran remembering, muktva quitting, kalevaram the body, yaha he who, prayati goes, saha he, Madbhavam, my nature. Yati, achieves. Na, not. Asti, there is. Atra, here. Samshayaha, doubt. Translation. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. The next verse, that is verse number 6, also we will chant. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Yam yam, whatever. Va api, at all. Smaran, remembering. Bhavam, nature. Tyajati, gives up. Ante, at the end. Kalevaram, this body. Tam, similar. Eva, certainly. Eti, gets. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Sada, always. Tat, that. Bhava, state of being. Bhavitaha, remembering. Translation. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So we see how beautifully Bhagavan is giving the answer to the most important question of Arjuna, that is, O Krishna, how can you be known at the time of death? As Arjuna asked. And Bhagavan says, let's see Arjuna, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. So, Antakale, at the end of his life, that is at the time of death, who can remember me? Smaran. Smaran muktva kalevaram, who quits his material body by remembering me. He attains my nature. Yaf prayati sa madbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. So remembering Krishna at the time of death assures attainment of Krishna's supreme abode. Here we have to understand that as the Lord is saying, so smaranam is so important, that is remembering. So remembering the Lord at the time of death. As we know, and in the next verse also, that is verse number 6, Bhagavan says, why it is? Because there is a principle in this connection. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So, O Arjuna, please know this, that whatever state of being one remembers at the time of quitting the material body, that state he attains without fail. So we see that how can we remember the Lord at the time of death? Because we see most of the people think about his own relatives, his wealth, his house, etc., etc., at the time of death. And that is the reason we are trapped in this chain of birth and death. So as Bhagavan, Mukunda, who is the giver of liberation, is assuring that at the time of death, if we can remember him, we will be attaining his supreme abode, Madbhavam. Another beautiful explanation of this Madbhavam is also given by Baladeva Vidyabhushana. That is, he who remembers me attains a nature like mine with 8 qualities. That is, he becomes sinless, ageless, deathless, without grief, without hunger, without thirst, blissful, and his desires are instantly fulfilled. So this remembrance, definitely we know that how we prepare all the year, we perform accordingly at the time of our examination. We all know that, we all have that experience. So life is a long time of preparation for us, and death is the examination. So we will perform at the time of examination according to our preparation throughout our life. So if we can remember the Lord all our life, then the chances are high that we will be able to remember him at the time of death. So that is why our acharyas say that to remember the Lord at the time of death, we need certain qualifications. First qualification is purity. That is, pure-hearted Krishna conscious person can actually remember the Lord. And service. We have to be engaged in devotional service. So Krishna consciousness is prescribed to be practiced from the beginning of our life. Here Srila Prabhupada says very clearly, earlier is better always. So incessant chanting of Mahamantra is also another qualification, because we know that chanting has the power, Harinam has the power to cleanse our heart, Cheto Darpana Marjana. And service, when we understand our relation with the Lord, that is when a person is Krishna conscious, he engages himself in devotional service. And tolerance, Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna. Mahaprabhu says that we have to be tolerant like a tree. So purity, service, chanting and tolerance, these are the qualifications to remember the Lord at the time of death. Means to prepare all the life, and definitely the performance will be great at the time of examination then. And we see in this connection, we know that how Maharaja Bharata, who was a very exalted devotee, exalted sadhaka, how he also, at the time of death, was forced to be transferred to a dear body, because he was quite exalted, because he was in the bhava stage. From there also he falls down. And we see how Bhishma Deva, at the time of death, how beautifully he could remember the Lord. And in Bhishma Stuti, as he says, Tribhuvana kamanam tamalavarnam ravikara gauravarambaram dadhane vapurala kakula vritananabjam vijaya sakheratirastu menavadya. So, what a beautiful expression here we see from Bhishma Deva, how he gives the description of Krishna. So his glittering golden dress on the body of his that is having a bluish complexion like a tamala tree. Vijaya Sakhe means Vijaya is another name of Arjuna. So Vijaya Sakhe, as the Lord is very pleased when he is addressed in connection to any of his loving associates, bhaktas. So Vijaya Sakhe, Partha Sakha, Vijaya Sakha, Nanda Nandana, Yashoda Nandana, these are his favorite addresses. So Bhishma Deva, we see he attained this perfection of remembering Krishna while quitting his material body. And he was on such a perfected stage that he could quit his material body at will. And extremely fortunate to have the Lord, who is the object of his meditation, object of his remembrance, physically present, personally present in front of him at the time of his death. So we see that for that matter, we can also take shelter of Bhagavad Gītā and Śrimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnations of the Lord, which are completely identical with the Lord. In this connection, so that we can actually practice how to remember the Lord. These beautiful prayers actually help us a lot. And then also we see the Markandeya Rishi, how he sings, Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam vatasya patrasya pute shayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. So how beautiful these prayers and these exemplary smaranam processes that we find in the pages of Śrimad Bhagavatam and in some other places, in some other shastras also, that if we can follow in their footsteps, if we can really practice, if we can learn how to remember the Lord every day, in every moment, and then also King Kulashekara Alvar, that is from Mukundamala Stotram, how beautifully it is mentioned that Krishna Twadya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsaha Prana Prayana Samaye Kaphavata Pittaihi Kantavarodhana Vidhau Smaranam Kutaste. So now I can remember, O Krishna, I can remember you very well. I am fit and fine in my youth. So my swan-like mind, please allow this to intertwine with the lotus stain, your lotus, that is your lotus feet, to intertwine with your lotus feet. Please allow my swan-like mind. Because at the time of death, if I receive a natural death in the old age, who knows, my throat may be choked by kaphavata pittaihi, by the mismanagement in the internal body. So I may not be able to remember you. So Krishna, please, I pray that you please give me death at this moment only. So this is the condition, this is the feeling of the pure devotees. So how beautiful prayers we see, and from the prayers we can actually understand the bhava of the person who is praying, and we must follow in their footsteps, because we see that as Bhagavan says in these two verses 5 and 6, so definitely our next question will be, then what? Then what should be our activity in this connection? So Bhagavan gives the answer to this. What he says, Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha mayyarpita mano buddhihi mame vaishyasya samshayaha. So Bhagavan says, Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu, at all, kaleshu, times, mam, me, anusmara, go on remembering, yudhya, fight, cha, also, mai, unto me, arpita, surrendering, manaha, mind, buddhihi, intellect, mam, unto me, ever, surely, Ishyasi, you will attain, asamshayaha, beyond a doubt. Translation. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So Bhagavan clearly says, Arjuna, yes, there is a very scientific process. Because we don't know when the death is going to come in our life. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha. Therefore, what should we do? We should always remember him. We should always remember Krishna, because death can come at any time. Always remember Krishna and yudhyacha, that is the fighting our own battle of life. We must fight. That is, we must do all our activities to please Krishna, to satisfy Krishna, because here Arjuna has to fight because Krishna wants him to fight. And mai arpita mano buddhi, It is not that you should only do your prescribed duties as a kshatriya, or the people accordingly who are brahmanas, they will do their prescribed duties, they will perform their prescribed duties, the vaishyas, the shudras. Here Arjuna, as a kshatriya, he has to fight. So Bhagavan says, yes, your mind and your intelligence should be fixed on me. You should remember me, and at the same time you should perform your prescribed duties also. So in this way, if you can live your life, then of course you will attain me. You will attain me, because mam eva eshyasi. Eshyasi means you will attain. Asamshaya, that is also without any doubt. And we see that Bhagavan repeatedly using this word, asamshaya, nastyatra samshaya, in verse 5 also he says. So what I am saying, you please do not doubt. Because we may think that, is it so easy that just by remembering him we can attain him? But actually the process of remembrance is not that easy. That it is also a practice. It is not possible for everybody. So that is why we said, while discussing the previous verses, that is purity, service, chanting and tolerance. These are the qualifications needed to remember the Lord. And that is why we have to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, Shikshashtakam also, beautifully from verse 1 to verse 8. And we should be meditating upon those verses. So, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, purity, how to get the purity, and then service. Always engage yourself in the service of the Lord. So, that in the next verse, Bhagavan is giving the answer, that is how to remember me always. Abhyasayogayuktena chetasānanyagāmina paramam purusham divyam yāti parthanuchintayan. Abhyasa yoga, in the practice of meditation. Yuktena, being engaged. Chetasa, by the mind and intelligence. Na anyagamina, without their being deviated. Paramam, the supreme. Purusham, personality of Godhead. Divyam, transcendental. Yati, one achieves. Partha, O son of Pratha. Anuchintayan, constantly thinking of. Translation. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. So here Bhagavan gives the answer. As he said in the previous verse, that is verse number 7, what should we do? Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha mayyarpita manobuddhir mamevaishyasi asamshayaha. And here Bhagavan says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa na anyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan. So, always think of Krishna. How it is possible? It is very, very important. So he stresses on importance on remembering him by practice. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. By practice, you can actually remember me. So, That means carrying out all the prescribed activities, as we just said, and dedicate the activities, mind, intelligence, everything to Krishna in 7th verse. So, importance of practice that we discussed in the previous verse, and here in this verse, that is 8, the importance of practice is indicated, and na anyagamina, chetasa na anyagamina, that is undeviated devotion. So we see that here the importance of chanting we can again understand. So what is this abhyasa yoga yuktena? It means practicing all the 9 gleams of bhakti, starting from Shravana. And as we discussed that purity, service, chanting, tolerance, so this service and chanting is so important, and this is a connection with this verse. What is abhyasa? That is service, devotional service, and specifically the stress is on chanting. Here one example often given in this connection is of the caterpillar. A caterpillar thinks of becoming a butterfly, and so it is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. So if we constantly think of Krishna, it is possible that at the end of our lives we shall have the same bodily, spiritual body like Krishna. So that is the process of remembering Krishna. But in this connection, we can have a question that why don't don't all practice this Krishna consciousness, this abhyasa yoga? And which form to think about? That is also another possible question. So in this material world, we see most of the people with material conception think themselves to be the enjoyers. They think themselves the enjoyer of this material world. So the practice of bhakti yoga, that is remembering the Lord, that is always thinking of the Lord, carrying out the prescribed duties and dedicating all the activities, mind and intelligence, everything to the Lord, is not possible for everyone. And which form? Here it is mentioned here that the devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, Narayana, Krishna, Rama, etc., by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this process will actually lead to purification. So as we just mentioned, that chanting leads to purification of heart. So, and Why it is so? Because we know there is no difference between Nama and Nami, that is Krishna and Krishna's name. There is no difference. And Krishna is the purest of the pure. Definitely, so we can, if we can remember Krishna always, we can also be purified. So, and engaging the mind, here we see the example of caterpillar who is transformed into a butterfly. So we see, and in verse number 9, so let us chant it. What happened? It is not responding. Okay. Okay. Kavim Purāṇāmanuṣāsitaram अणोरणीयां समनुस्मरेद्यः सर्वस्य धातारमचिन्त्य रूपम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात्. Synonyms. Kavim, the one who knows everything. Puranam, the oldest. Anushasitaram, the controller. Anoho, than the atom. Aniyamsam, smaller. Anusmaret, always thinks of. Yaha, one who. Sarvasya, of everything. Dhataram, the maintainer. Achintya, inconceivable. Rupam, whose form. Aditya Varnam, luminous like the sun. Tamasaha, to darkness. Parastat, transcendental. Translation. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything. Kavim, who is smaller, as who is the oldest, who is the controller. Puranam, Anushasitaram, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. So, this question and this verse is in answer to the question maybe present in our heart, that is, what is the process of thinking of the Lord? So here is the answer. So dhyanam of Parameshvara. Dhyanam on what? Of Parameshvara, who is Kavim, that is, who is Sarvagnya, who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, and who is the maintainer of everything. Sarvasya dhataram, achintya rupam, inconceivable, having inconceivable form. Aditya Varanam, luminous like the sun. Tamasaha parastha. So we see that is as we see in Brahma Samhita, Advaitamachyutamanadimanantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma bhaktau govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. So then also it is mentioned that Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. So few common words are there. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, that is Anantarupam. So he is having many forms, all spiritual forms. That is inconceivable Rupam, inconceivable form. Adyam Purana Purusham, Purana Purusham, Nava Yauvanam cha. So he is the oldest, Purana Purusham, but ever youthful, Nava Yauvanam cha. Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau. So it is not possible to know him by the knowledge of Vedas, but he can be known by Atma Bhaktas. So he can be known by the devotees who can always remember him, who has fixed his mind and intelligence in the Lord and is always acting in the consciousness that he has dedicated all his activities to Krishna and carrying out the prescribed duties to satisfy him, who is always thinking of Krishna, who is always glorifying him, who is always chanting his name, who is always engaged in the transcendental service to his lotus feet. So we know that is what the mind thinks at the time of quitting present material body, receives that state of body. So anytime death can come, so we should prepare ourselves all our life and throughout our life continuously for that moment. So this is the teaching from these verses, verse number 5 to 9. That is remembering Krishna, because life is a preparation, death is the examination. So with this, we will come to the end of today's session. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे